Hey guys, this is Julian of Julian Gray Media. Today's video is going to be the final video of the Melodic Techno in Ableton Live 10 stock series. If you haven't seen the rest of the series, make sure to check the link in the upper right hand corner above me right now to check out the rest of the videos. Before we get started on this video, I'm going to, at the end of this, put the project up for free download, maybe on Splice, or if not, then like Tone Down or something like that. And that link will be down in the description below, so you guys can download the project file, play with it how you will, and I guess take it and do your own thing with it. I want you guys to use this as a learning experience, so having the project file for download will be cool for you guys. So today we're going to wrap up this song. We're going to do our best to try to consolidate all the ideas we had in the previous episodes. And without any further ado, let's just hop right into it and get started. Awesome guys, so this video is going to be kind of a cleanup episode. We have all of the main ideas for the song complete and ready to go. This video is just going to kind of consolidate all the ideas we had in the previous 3 episodes and then try to polish it up, make a finished song out of it, and then we'll have it up for download so you guys can play with the project file in your own time. So to start things off, let's give this thing a listen from the beginning. There's a few notes that I want to address before anything else, and that is the drop itself is kind of weak, and the intro is cool and stuff. It's just the drop I'm kind of struggling with. We're gonna play with that in a moment. Let's just give this thing a play from the beginning. So I already think that that's a little bit too long. What I'm going to do is actually remove this section here. I'm going to highlight this middle section so we get the end of this and we get the beginning of that, so that we can just remove all this time. I don't want it to be too long. It's a little bit too long-winded right now. So I gotta reset this MIDI clip to start at the beginning of this clip. Otherwise, as you can see, it's not going to play anything. So I got to drag this to the beginning so that MIDI note launches in the clip like so. And then we're going to fade in this right here. We can do that by toggling automation mode with the A key, which is handy. And then we can fade it up like that, so we have both of them fading in at the same time. Then this noise right here, I'm going to toggle back to automation and then take a look at the filter. We want it to be a little bit more aggressive now that we cut the beginning off of it. So let's give this a play. So immediately I want to start this off a little bit more low pass than it is. It kind of comes in abruptly there. And I want to add an auxiliary reverb to this. So auxiliary meaning secondary, not as in an auxiliary bus. I want to use a dry wet on this, and I want to exaggerate the reverb in the beginning here, and then we're going to fade the reverb out. It's kind of like a cool techno trick that a lot of people do nowadays. I'm going to start it at 0% wet because I want it to be completely dry by the time we hit this build. But for this intro section, I want it to be absolutely drowned in reverb, so it sounds very spacious and in the background. And then as we start to reduce the wet amount, it's going to become drier and drier, which sounds and is perceived as closer to you. So I'm going to do that right now. So we're going to turn this dry wet up, and then we're going to turn the decay time up, and then we're going to turn the equality to high. And we can actually disable spin and chorus. Let me give this a listen now. Perfect. That's sounding pretty good. I want to raise the cutoff filter just a little bit so we get a little bit more of that high end through now. So I don't like this ARP here after all. I kind of want to use this in the build-up maybe. We'll do this and drag these to the breaks instead of the drops. For the drop, I want to do kind of like a really dissonant tone and do like a really detuned boom or something like that, like I did in my tune Illusions. If you guys want to see the breakdown of Illusions or maybe check out that song, make sure to click on the link above me right now and you can check out Illusions breakdown in the studio so you can understand the sound I'm going for. But I want to move that ARP into the build. We're gonna worry about the drop in a moment. Let me just see how this sounds. Raise that EQ right there just a little bit, and I want to filter this up so it starts lower and then comes in later on. Let's do that like so instead of using the EQ for this. That way we can kind of add some energy. This ARP feels more like a build element than a drop element to me, so we're going to drag that over here. Just copy it over, and there we go. And I want to introduce that open hi-hat a little bit later. I don't want to introduce it right out the cut like that. Let's do that here as well. Because I want it to kind of breathe and then introduce the open hi-hat for a little bit more in the B section of the drop to kind of introduce a new energetic element. So that's that. And then I want to add that bass sound we were talking about earlier. I'm going to do this by adding in a instance of wavetable. And let's do that right now. And let's enable musical typing by pressing M, which is this toggle right here, M, as you can see. There's our key. Let's drop it down a few octaves with the Z. A little bit too low there. I'm going to change this to a saw wave. I want the amp envelope to start dead on. I want a very static amplitude envelope. And we're going to apply this envelope 2 to a filter. Let's expand this a little bit here. And I want to, in this matrix section right here, I want to apply the frequency cutoff right here to the envelope of envelope 2. So I'm going to drag this up. And drag this down. There we go. That's the sound I'm looking for. And then I want to drag this envelope 2 down so it's immediate all the way down to this middle section here. Drag that up. Then I want to increase the unison. I'm going to add some classic unison and then increase the voices to maybe 7. And I'm going to delay that attack time on this one, maybe like 40 seconds. Decrease where that filter ends. Somewhere in between saw and square actually sounds kind of cool. Maybe a little bit too resonant though. There we go. Maybe for oscillator 2 we can add in a octave, which is 12 semitones. Cool. That is sounding pretty nice. It's a very, very dark and kind of sinister chord there. Then I want to add some reverb, so I'll go ahead and into our audio effects and throw on a reverb. Let's do that here. To make this a little bit more interesting, let's throw on an auto pan, and let's just do a moderately slow pan and a mildly high amount, like that. We don't want to lock this to a tempo. We want it to be kind of dynamic and feel a little bit out of place. And by locking it to a tempo, it would be very, very digital. By doing this with a rate, a frequency of modulation, you get a little bit more human feel because it's not locked to a certain tempo. It's not perfect. It's kind of wavering between the ears a little bit there. That's cool. So then I want to apply this right on the drop like so. And then we're going to do a big bang note. It's kind of like a Hans Zimmer style. Like that. Let's see how that sounds. And then one final thing I want to do is drag in a compressor to kind of flatline that reverb a little bit so we can kind of catch the lower resonances of the reverb and bring them up to full volume. And then I think I want to pull this lead out until the B section of the drop as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then I want to maintain this single note right here for the first half of the drop, like so. So I'm going to just duplicate it over and over with Control or Command D, like I just did. As you can see, if you highlight a region, Command D 4 times, or 3 times rather, then we have this selected and we hold the Shift key. We can highlight all of these. If you didn't see that, highlight one, hold the Shift key, highlight them all like that because it stacks horizontally. And then you can do Command or Control J, which combines all of the clips together. I want to clear this automation quickly. So you can just highlight the bottom section here in the automation mode. If you toggle that, like I said before, M toggles that if the MIDI typing isn't on, which you have to toggle first. M to turn that off, and then A to toggle automation mode, and then highlight, and then you can highlight the bottom region here. If you highlight the top region like so, it's going to delete the clip. Oops. And if you highlight the bottom region, you can actually delete without deleting the clip like so. So I want to delete these 3 points like that. And there we go. And then I'm going to give this a separate color because I want it to be differentiated between that and this B section of the drop. So let's give this a play. Let's do the same for this pad. Highlight them all, Command or Control J. Let's make this like a blue. No, actually it's too much blue here. Maybe a pink. So then we know that's different than the other ones. That shouldn't be right there. And then give us a play. Reduce that cutoff so that it doesn't start so high. And then we can start and putting that bang on that same note as this note right here. Would have been easier just to copy it and then move it down a few semitones, but nevertheless. And then I'm going to color this differently so we know that this note is different from that visually. I like to keep things organized by color similar to that so that I can quickly just grab what I need. If I know I need this note, I can just drag it over without having to look at the note or kind of decipher the MIDI. So I like to color code things like that. And I'm sidechaining this, similar sidechain to the last one we did, pretty much the same actually. What if we just copied this whole MIDI clip? Let's try that. So that note right there is a little bit too low, so I just jumped it an octave. Let's give this a play now. I want to add some minute EQ to that open hi-hat. I'm just going to cut the bottom off. Give it some brightness in the top end. Reduce that auto pan just a tad. It's a little too much. Now I want to reduce this fade out time as well. I'm going to apply this noise right here to right there as well. And then, like I said before, I like to color code anything that I change, so I know that this one is a fade into a drop like that. So I'm going to color code that yellow. And then I want to drag this, and I'm going to actually duplicate this whole entire drop over. So I'm just going to highlight all of this like so. Got to grab it from the clip in Ableton 10, or you can just toggle automation, then copy. So then I'm going to copy, Control C, and then paste it onto the second drop as well. But for this drop, I actually want to introduce the open hi-hat early and just go right into it like that. 12 isn't working anymore. I kind of like the 8. Looks like that lead didn't get erased there. Let me just delete that so it's not overbearing. And as you can see, I was adding a MIDI clip because I want to add some accent percussion, like Rinzen-esque. I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's say, a 707 kit. Try something new. Any day now. Ableton. There we go. Command save. Or Command S, I should say, to save. Don't want it to crash on me. And I want to grab like a rim shot kind of sound. I don't like that at all. Let's grab maybe a 606. Let's try that. Actually, I don't mind the tom. Let's give that a go. Let's see if we can get that to work. So I'm going to go ahead and add a MIDI clip. And put it like right there. Like that. Let's duplicate this several times. Let's see how this sounds. Nope, I actually did want it right there. Let's see. Cool, and then I actually want to throw in some effects on that. So a ping pong delay would be cool. I want to do a 4 count instead of a 3, so it's a solid on the beat. Should be a quarter note. Maybe like a 2 count. Let's try that. Yeah, 3 is a little bit too swung for this style of music. I'm going to add a reverb again. Stock reverb. I would never do this in normal production, but got to keep it stock so you guys don't have to buy the plugins. If I've learned anything over the years, it's that you guys don't want to buy plugins. So let's... We want this to be a little bit more bright. See, I don't want the decay time necessarily that high, and I don't really want a high cut on there. I'd rather have a low cut. Turn off diffusion maybe. That sounds pretty good. Let's do the compressor trick again just to catch some of those low resonant reverberation tails and bring them up in the mix. That's not too bad. Let me try to do this really quick. I want to just brighten it up and remove the low end. Maybe actually push it in the background a little more. And then once we sidechain that, I think it's going to be really solid. Let's give this a sidechain if we can borrow it from something else. Sub has a sidechain on it. Let's copy it, paste it onto that new sound, and let's name this like Tom, and give us a play. We can do some kick removal. Kick and percussion removal. I'm gonna leave that tom in there. That kind of nice is a nice fill. Let's give this a play. going to toggle into automation mode, and actually I want to make a break in this noise. So what I'm going to do is highlight this, delete it, and then I want that noise to completely cut out for this second right here. So I'm going to drag, I'm going to highlight this region and then drag that line directly down so we have a perfect filter cutoff like that. Same for this pad. I want it to be completely gone right there. And we'll do the same with this filter here. So we have a break for a moment. Let's see how that sounds. It might sound awful. We might revert it, but let's give it a go. So I actually want to do this again. I'm just going to copy the entire drop, paste it onto the second drop. First we need to delete the second drop because there's gaps now. And we'll just, let's do this again. Highlight, drag to the bottom, copy, delete this, and then we're going to paste it like that. There we go. And like I said, I want to introduce that open hi-hat there as well, so we'll do that. Seems like we did a similar thing here with these. What I'm going to do is just toggle automation lock and drag this over for the consistency of having this held out note. Automation lock just basically locks these automation points so that when I drag this over, it doesn't overwrite them. And yeah, there we go. Let's throw this percussive element on the outro here, and maybe that will solidify how the outro sounds a little bit more. Let's give this a play from the beginning and see if we have any other standout elements. little bit more. That. Cool, that is sounding pretty solid. That's about as good as it's going to get with Ableton stock stuff. What I want to do is do some basic mastering. To do that, I'm just going to open the master bus. We're clipping in a few spots, but that's okay. We can dial that in with a limiter. I'm going to try out the Ableton stock limiter. If it doesn't work out, we'll use the glue compressor. I like how the SSL modeling sounds more than the stock limiter. We're going to try both just to give it a go. Let's give it a play from the drop. That's going to be our biggest contender for hitting a high ceiling. And then we'll see how this goes. Not really feeling that. Let's try a glue compressor and with a 100-to-1 ratio, infinite to 1 ratio, or as high as it gets, and then we're going to try to dial it in on a glue compressor. Let's see how this sounds. If you enable soft clipping, it kind of limits the top of the sound so it doesn't go over the zero threshold. And we can kind of utilize the glue compressor as a limiter for mastering because we don't have Maximizer or Pro L or something like that in stock Ableton. So let's go ahead and grab an EQ 8. I want to do some basic mid-side EQ. Basically assigning a different EQ curve to the middle of the sound and the sides of the stereo image just to spread it out a little bit. I'm going to toggle it to mid mode, which is M, and then I'm going to give a minor boost in the low end, like I'm talking less than a decibel, maybe 0.87 decibels, and then go to the sides, and then I want to give it a minute boost, maybe 1.5 decibels in the high end, so that we get some width in the high end of the sound. That might actually be a little bit too much. Let me soften that curve a little bit, dial that back maybe to like 1 decibel. Let me just type it in 1. And that should spread it out just a little bit in the stereo image. And that's going to sound pretty solid, I think. Let's give this a play. that is pretty much where I want this song. That is essentially how I would approach making melodic techno in stock Ableton. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you did, give the video a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike and let me know why in the comments below. If you have any ideas for future series like this, make sure to let me know down there as well. I'm always keen on getting new ideas from you guys. If you guys want to download the project file for this, you guys have my full permission to work with it and re-modify it and stuff to make your own music out of it. I'll have the link for this project file in the description below, either through ToneDen or Splice or something like that. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I make 3 videos a week, assuming I'm not like super weighed down with stuff, and I try to respond to every single comment I can. So if you have any questions for me, let me know down there as well. Been super busy lately, a lot of new music coming soon, and a lot of cool projects coming in the next few months. So stay tuned for that, and make sure to subscribe. And if you really enjoy the channel, you can enable that little notification bell and see every upload of mine. But I wouldn't judge you if you don't do that, because it's overwhelming. Anyway, I am Julian of Julian Gray Media. Hope you enjoyed the song, and if you guys want to download the project, again, it's in the description below. I will talk to you in the next series I do like this. Who knows when that will be, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.